September 15th, 2022. And the time is, somebody fill it in.
1:02 p.m.
This meeting is held in person, and I am Stephen Bales. Nice to meet you all. First time in 2.5 years or so. I was beginning to wonder if anybody was really live or not. I am the vice chair. Thanks to this guy. And I'm not sure how to pay him back yet. Would members present please introduce themselves?
Hi, my name.
Go ahead, Rory.
Rory Van Pocky, GUAC Council. Thank you for having me today. Excited. Thank you.
Welcome.
Dave Roberts.
Nothing interesting about you?
No.
No, go, okay.
Short timer. Put it that way. How about that?
We have a quorum, everyone. Would ADWR staff members please introduce themselves?
Kennedy Shepard, GUAC Coordinator.
Melissa Sykes, Water Management Systems Program Coordinator. Amanda Long, Associate Water Analyst. Natalie Mast, AMA Director.
Rachel Von Nexton, Water Resources Engineer, CRM.
John Riggins, Statewide Planning Manager.
Senior races?
Water Bank County. Technical Administrator, Water Bank Virginia O'Connell, Water Bank.
Okay. Is there anyone else? That's it.
The other people
Kyle.
Online?
virtually.
Okay, now I'm instructed to say, if audience members are interested in introducing yourselves, please type your name and affiliation into the chat box. Even the people live? Or is that just the virtual?
We haven't changed the script yet.
Yeah.
I see somebody over there.
Would you like us to introduce ourselves?
Please do. There's not that many of you. And maybe Frank will show up.
Maybe. Yeah. Pamela Justice with Arizona Project Wet University of Arizona.
Hi, my name is Erin. I'm a student at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Chase, and I'm also a student at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Anthony Beckham, SRP.
One of your minions, huh? Yeah. Okay, I see how this works. All right. Literally got
You want me to call Noel for you?
Yeah. Okay. With that covered, I would like to start with agenda item 2, meeting logistics with Kennedy Shepard, who, by the way, loaned me her badge today. That probably might get you into trouble. Never mind. Don't record that part.
Matters are out.
Oh, no. Well, she watched me the whole while. Walk back. Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. This is the first time we're hosting this meeting hybrid, so we just have some logistics to go over. For those of us joining online, we do ask that you please keep your phone muted. This helps with audio feedback. If you have any questions or comments at all during the meeting, please feel free to put those into the chat box, and we will address those during the call to public. That will also be your time to speak to the council if you wish. Also, this meeting is being recorded, and it will be posted to our website within the next few business days. And again, if you're having any technical difficulties, our help desk is available to you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. Agenda item number 3, Colorado River update from Rachel. Rachel, welcome again.
Hello, thank you.
The Colorado River, it's still flowing, right?
Yes.
Is there going to be huge snowpack this winter? That's all we really want to know.
We'll see.
Actually, you want water in the river as opposed to the snowpack.
Oh, no.
We've got good snowpack before. We just haven't got water in the river.
Yeah, but that, we had a good monsoon, so it'll flow, right?
Well,
Okay.
Go ahead.
We'll steal your thunder.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll just jump into the update. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to start with a brief review of the Colorado River system. These numbers reflect as of September 7th. For the smaller upper basin reservoirs, beginning at the upper right and moving down, we have Fontenelle at 89%, Flaming Gorge at 74%, Blue Mesa at 40%, followed by Morrow Point at 96%, and finally Navajo at 54%. As of the 7th, Lake Powell is at an elevation of 3530.71 feet and 25% of capacity. Lake Mead was at an elevation 1044.04 feet and 28% of capacity. Looking at the reservoir system as a whole, we currently have roughly 19.80 million acre feet in storage, or 34% of system capacity. This is approximately a 3.7 million acre foot decrease from this time last year. Next slide, please. So this is the historic and forecasted water year unregulated inflow into Lake Powell. The lighter blue bars show the historic water year unregulated inflow. The 30-year average is that black line running across the screen. It's from 1991 to 2020. That's 19.6 million acre feet. According to Reclamation's latest Colorado River Water Supply Report, as of September 1, water year 2022 is forecasted to be 6.079 million acre feet, or 63% of average. So that upper box in the right-hand corner is this is an updated number for that. The box in the upper left-hand side shows Reclamation's August volumes for the minimum, most, and max for water year 2023. The minimum probable forecast is 4.700 million acre feet, 49% of the 30-year average. The most probable forecast is 8.30 million acre feet, 86% of the 30-year average. And the maximum probable forecast is 15.70 million acre feet, 163% of average. Although there's a possibility of seeing improved flows based on what we've seen over the last few years, it's unlikely. It is more likely we'll see conditions track more closely with the min and most going forward, so I encourage you to draw your focus towards those forecasts. Next slide, please. This is the Lake Powell end of month elevations from Reclamation's most recent 24-month study and 2-year probabilistic projections. Again, the probable max is in blue, the most probable is in green, and the probable min in red. The individual gray lines are additional traces from the CRIMS ESP runs. These individual traces are produced by Reclamation to provide additional information about risk and uncertainty for near-term planning that can help us see that there are traces below probable min and above probable max. This modeling does reflect May actions taken by the Department of the Interior, that is to send 500,000 acre feet from Flaming Gorge Reservoir down to Lake Powell and keep 480,000 acre feet in Lake Powell that would have normally been delivered to Lake Mead. Thus, these projected elevations are actual elevations and do not reflect effective projections. As we go forward in time, we see increasing hydrologic uncertainty, and some of the driest traces approach and even fall below critical elevations at Lake Powell. Now we're looking at the Lake Mead end of month elevation projections from the August 24-month study and 2-year probabilistic projections. When looking at this figure, I encourage you to focus your attention towards the lower half of the cloud, as many of the ESP traces and 24-month study minimum and most probable fall towards this range. The end of calendar year 2022 most probable elevation is 1040.78 feet. The end of calendar year 2023 most probable elevation is 1021.39 feet. Again, these are projected actual physical elevations. Next slide, please.
When do we get to ask questions? At the end?
Go anytime.
You can, if you have a question now, I can take it.
Okay, can you go back to the Lake Powell? And my questions relate to both Powell and Mead. The end of calendar year 2023 projection, I assume Reclamation assumes some level of release from Lake Powell. Do you know what the release amount is? Is that the 7 million acre feet or?
Yes, I believe so, but I can confirm that for you.
So that's a 7 million acre feet release?
I think the projection for 2023 is a 7 million.
Yeah.
Okay, and then for Lake Mead, the next slide. So the end of calendar year 2023 projection, is that assume a demand of what's expected under a tier 2A? So California taking 4.4, Arizona taking 2.2 or whatever the number is, and then, okay.
Yeah,
And
so
and Mexico taking 1.5. Or something less than that,
yes,
because they're, okay,
Mhm.
all right, so it assumes the tier 2A.
Yes,
Okay.
which I have a couple slides moving forward that'll.
Okay, so
that'll
that's what
cover
that, okay. All right, thank you.
And I wanted to ask something too. I don't know who's going to answer it, but in the tier 2A, California is not impinged upon in any way in tier
No.
2A.
No. Okay. So this is what we have modeled for the 500+ plan as of the August 24-month study. So much of this has been carried over from previous months, with the notable adjustments being that MWD's 2022 ICS deliveries are closer to what was originally projected in the June 2021 model. It's anticipated that deliveries for 2023 are expected to increase, as are CAPs, though not as dramatically. Additional conservation activities incorporated in the August model are the remaining agreements with the cities under the CAW-CD system conservation and the Yuma Mesa Irrigation District fallowing. On September 1, the CAP board approved an additional 59,003 acre-feet of system conservation with 5 subcontractors, though these volumes are not yet included in the modeling. Next slide, please. So these teacup diagrams show the 2022 effective and physical elevations for Lake Powell and Lake Mead. So effective elevations are determined as if the 480,000 held back in Lake Powell had actually been delivered to Lake Mead, and we see that the effective elevation in Lake Powell has been lower and the effective elevation in Lake Mead has been higher. So the projected effective elevation for the end of calendar year 2022 in Lake Mead is 1047.61 feet. Slide, please. So given that the projected effective end of calendar year 2022 elevation of Lake Mead is 1047.61 feet, the Commissioner of the Bureau of Reclamation announced Lake Mead will operate in a Tier 2A shortage condition in 2023 on August 16th. For Arizona, this looks like a 592,000 acre-foot reduction, approximately 21% of our annual apportionment, and Nevada will have a 25,000 acre-foot reduction. Mexico will have a 104,000 acre-foot reduction, and under a Tier 2A, California has no required water savings contributions. So these are the reductions and contributions associated with the 2007 interim guidelines, Minute 323, the Lower Basin Drought Contingency Plan, and the Binational Water Scarcity Contingency Plan. So you may have heard some new terminology pop up recently, or you may have only heard about up to a 2B before, but if you look closely, California and Mexico take incremental reductions between a 2B and a Tier 3. So that's now seeing 2B, California's DCP reduction is 200,000 acre-feet, a 2C is 250,000, Tier 2D is 300,000, and a Tier 2E is 350,000. In addition to California, Mexico takes additional incremental reductions through these tiers as well, but Arizona's reduction remains the same through these tiers. In June, we heard from the Commissioner that an additional 2 to 4 million acre-feet of conservation was needed to protect the system. Media coverage leading up to the August 24-month study was anticipating an announcement by Reclamation. However, there was no announcement of either additional mandatory cuts or an agreement by the basin states to come up with additional conserved volumes. Despite the basin states not meeting the mid-August deadline set by the Commissioner, the basin states will continue to meet with the U.S. to address these challenges on the Colorado River and are discussing ways that additional reductions can be implemented. As has been said before, all water users have a stake in the outcome and all need to contribute to the solution. This is the 5-year probabilistic projections of future conditions in the Colorado River system, which extend through 2027. For modeling purposes, the simulated years beyond 2026 assume a continuation of the 2007 interim guidelines, 2019 drought contingency plans, Minute 323, and the Binational Water Scarcity Contingency Plan. So just to call out a few things, this table shows the percent of traces from the CRIMS ESP run that would result in event or system condition. So going through the chances of different tiers in the next 5 years, we see that through 2024 through 2027, we're seeing over 70% or more of traces in a Tier 2 or Tier 3 operating condition, and furthermore, 40% or more traces at a Tier 3 operating condition. And that concludes the portion of my presentation, and I can take any additional questions.
CRIMS, Colorado River.
Midterm modeling simulation. I can confirm that, but yes,
That's right.
yes.
What did the I stand
What was that?
for? Was there an I in it?
No.
No, just CRMNS.
Okay. Well, you do an excellent job with all the acronyms and initials.
Thank you.
Just go whoosh over my head. It takes a while to get back into this world. And, gloomy, but thank you.
Welcome.
Questions?
I don't have any questions. I don't know if Rory has any.
Rory, are you on?
Yeah, I have no questions. It's pretty self-explanatory.
And just to confirm, it is was modeled, the most probable is modeled at 7.0 million acre foot release in 2023.
Great. Thank you, Rachel.
No, thank you.
Okay, is the real chairman on yet?
No, Frank has not joined us yet.
No. Okay. Moving along. Agenda item 4, everyone. The Arizona Water Bank Preliminary 2023 Plan of Operation. Rebecca.
Mr. Vice Chair, members of the council, good morning, everyone. I see more people have joined us. I'm Dr. Rebecca Bernas, Technical Administrator for the Arizona Water Banking Authority, and I'm going to present to you the preliminary plan of operations of the water bank for the year 2023. So there are two components to the plan. The first one is how many the water bank, how many credits the water bank can develop. The second one is how many credits the water bank may need to distribute to meet its objectives. So we're not expecting any excess CFG water available to the water bank for storage next year. However, we have other ways of developing credits. We can purchase long-term storage credits, and we can also pay for the development of intentionally created surplus firming credits, also called ICS firming credits. And we would develop those credits through the water bank agreement with the Gila River Indian community that we refer to as the community. Next, please. So here's a table of the water bank funds available by funding source to develop credits. The water bank has $1.8 million of withdrawal fee revenues in the Phoenix AMA and $978,000 of withdrawal fee revenues in the Tucson AMA. These are funds that are available to the water bank. In past years, we were required to make $1.8 million available to ADWR. That is no longer the case. So those $1.2 million are reflected on the slide. We are, however, still required to transfer $200,000 to ANSAC, the Arizona Navigable Stream Adjudication Commission. And I'd like to note that in the Tucson AMA for withdrawal fees, the numbers you can see include carryover. So typically we receive under $400,000 there. So since we no longer have to transfer the funds to ADWR, next year we'll be able to pay for double the amount of ICS firming credits, which means that we'll be able to develop 6,134 credits from using monies from the Phoenix AMA. The price for those ICS firming credits will be next year $268.8 per acre foot. And the volume you see here, the 6,000 credits you see here, includes the 10% loss. So that has been deducted. Now, moving on to the water storage tax. The water bank has carryover from funds reserved by CWCD for long-term storage credit purchases in 2021 and 2022. We have $3.3 million in the Phoenix AMA that we could use to purchase almost 11,000 long-term storage credits. We could, in the Tucson AMA, we have $7.8 million that we could spend to acquire almost 25,000 long-term storage credits. Now, the long-term storage credit purchase volumes are based on CAP water delivery and storage, and the prices for 2023 under Tier 2A. And so the rate in the Phoenix AMA would be $312 per acre foot, and in the Tucson AMA, the rate would be $314 per acre foot. The market for long-term storage credits is tightening, and so in the future, the water bank, it might be difficult for the water bank to purchase long-term storage credits. So overall, we could be spending a little under $14 million to acquire almost 45,000 credits. Next, please.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
On the ICS firming credits, is the community required to sell you those credits? Or their agreement?
It's pursuant to our agreement under DCP, where we agreed to purchase or reimburse them for the 50,000 acre feet of credits already accrued in
So
Lake
that's going to happen then?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's just taking us, because we didn't have all the funds all at once, we can pay this incrementally.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so now about the distribution of credit. So next year, we're looking at the two-way shortage reduction, which means that the reductions will affect the CAP&IA supply pool. So the water bank will have a firming obligation for the community. There will be no firming required for on-river contractors, and there will be no firming required for CAP&I subcontractors. This is because the latest CAP estimates show the M&I pool will not be affected. If final accounting of CAP orders shows there's a small reduction in M&I supply, then the Water Banking Authority can coordinate with CAWCD to ensure water orders are met, potentially through CAP or the exchange. And we would, of course, incorporate those changes into the final annual plan of operation. Now, the Southern Nevada Water Authority hasn't sent a request for intentionally created a new apportionment, so there will be no interstate recovery next year. Next, please.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. The tribal firming obligation for the community, is that for the full 15,000 acre feet?
Yes, it is.
Well,
yes, that's the...
Are you going to provide them wet water or just assign them credit?
So those credits were already developed on reservation.
Right.
Those are payment credits.
Right.
And if you can move to the next slide. Here I show, you can see it's highlighted in blue. So this is, in the second column, you can see the estimated credit available to the water bank at the end of this year, so ready to be used for the year 2023. And so in the second column, we are deducting 15, like you said, 15,000 acre feet of firming credits developed on reservation to firm.
So you're just going to transfer the credits to them?
Actually, we just deduct.
Deduct,
yeah. Because the water's been delivered.
Delivered already?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. And so in the third column, we're showing how many credits are remaining, will be remaining in our account at the end of 2023. So again, there will be no CAP M&I firming, no on-river M&I firming either, and there will be no interstate recovery next year. And, yeah, next. Do you have more questions?
No,
Could you go back one on the slide? For just a second.
that looks like your checkbook.
Yeah. On our water banking fees, do all the AMAs pay the same amount, like Phoenix does? No.
I don't think
The 325, I mean, no, the 250,
No, I think
they're different.
so,
There's a max of 250. Sorry.
so right now, I believe it is 250 for each AMA, but in the Pinal AMA, that can change. So that, the 250 can change, but it stays the same in Phoenix and Tucson AMA for the water making piece.
How did they get that into theirs that we don't have? Any ideas? Is that in legislation?
Yes,
In statute?
it's in statute.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
But right now, the monies in the Pinal AMA, the water bank doesn't have access to those. Those are used under DCP for the groundwater efficiency projects.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't see that money until after 2026.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
If ever again.
Yeah, probably.
Complicated. So there's no water to buy right now to bank, but you're working it out in the credits.
I mean, we could purchase long-term storage credits.
Right, you can't, there's no Colorado River
But
water.
there's no
Yes,
water.
no Colorado River to store.
Excuse me, this is Roy, wouldn't it be a good idea to look into buying these credits? Because I heard one of the major players that had credits sold to a major home builder, their credits. I may be wrong on this, but I believe those credits, wouldn't they be worth a lot more down the road to have those now and buy them today for what we foresee down the road here?
So, the water bank has always used the same method to determine the price to purchase credits. And so, I mean, because there will be, there are less storage, which means less creation of credits. So the prices are increasing.
Correct.
So it's a matter of how much money the Water Bank Commission would, agree to spend on those credits.
Does the commission set the pricing methodology for purchasing credits?
No, I mean, they've approved the methodology we've been using, which is based on CAP delivery and storage, the cost of storing and.
But that's not a statutory methodology. It's
No.
a methodology that you all have developed.
So we've been basically utilizing over the past years the same methodology that the CAGRD has been using to base it on CAP water delivery and storage costs, grossing it up to account for losses and the cost of the aquifer. We understand that method isn't, the market is tightening, as Rebecca said, and so we know the grapevine that the cost per acre foot is going up there. So it's a question of, for the commission, how much they are willing to spend, but we are looking for reasonable opportunities out there.
Okay.
I think you're going to have a lot of competition. People are out there looking. And in the last 10, 12 years, I saw it continually go up in those water credits. So it's something to keep your eye on for sure and be proactive.
Maybe we can get a special deal.
Special deal?
Maybe in 76 days.
All right, anything else in this area? Thank you, ladies. It was very, very good. Very informative.
You want to have our two new guests introduce themselves?
Sure. Where are they?
Oh. Hi, I'm Megan Martin. I'm the Salt River Project.
Oh. Come on.
I'm Leslie Myers, also with Salt River Project.
What do you guys charge for water.
She will, we have good rates. Leslie, as I said earlier, Leslie will be replacing me at SRP, so she will be the new associate general manager.
Condolences or congratulations?
Thank you, congratulations.
Okay, all right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
We're good now?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good, we're good.
All right. I just checked, we're collegial.
Yes, we are.
We get along. Item number 5, we're moving along, everybody. Let's see. Agenda item 5, groundwater withdrawal fee recommendation and WMAP update. My favorite subject here. Melissa will present on the WMAP. Is that what you guys call it?
The WMAP.
WMAP program. And then the council will discuss the 2023 withdrawal fee and make a recommendation to the ADWR director. Is he here today?
He might be in the building. He is not in the
He's
meeting
not here with us. He'll slip in. Okay. All right, Melissa.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, and good afternoon, council members and members of the public. I'll be going over the WMAP, or the Water Management Assistance Program fund balance, and the status of the DCP Groundwater Conservation Grant. The current balance is $700. Yes, thank you. The current balance is $706,633, and of that, $381,820 is committed, leaving a balance of $324,813. And we expect to collect about $190,000 annually, or next year. Arizona Project Wet is seeking to renew their contract for $150,000, which is a $50,000 increase from their previous contract for a term of 2 years. This would leave $174,813 in unobligated funds. If the GUAC would like to continue to fund these legacy projects and new projects in the future, it is suggested that the council recommend increasing the WMAP fee to accommodate those requests. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Projects that are currently funded. The Excel sheet, please. The projects that are currently funded with the WMAP funds are the Smartscape Professional Landscape Training Program, the Water Conservation Management Program, the Residential Water Use Phase 2 project, and Arizona Project Wet. The DCP Leak Detection Project also received $32,355 in WMAP funding. The City of Surprise's Xeriscape Demonstration Garden recently completed their project, and they're here today to present their findings at the end of these updates. So next, I will go over the groundwater conservation grant. Thank you. The ESSER Design / Arizona Project Wet collaborative video series recently completed their project, and they're the first groundwater conservation grant to complete their project, and they'll be presenting at the spring GUAC meeting. And all the other projects are ongoing.
Are you monitoring them? Are they keeping you apprised of their progress?
Yes, I receive deliverables from them at least every 6 months.
And that's part of that report. It's just like 2 of 10 deliverables. And
yes.
It was. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question about the new magma reclaimed water line, and that's with F4, I think, right?
Yes.
How's that coming along?
I don't believe that they have started on their project yet. I have to double check that one.
Is that because of F4 or because of new magma?
It was, we had to do an amendment for their project because they had made some changes. If they haven't started with maybe 1 or 2 and submitted already 1 or 2 deliverables, then they may not have submitted any. I think they've submitted 2. We actually have a dashboard where I can check that for you.
Okay. And one other question. So the other one that I was interested in is the Northern Avenue lateral, which was the Maricopa Water District project. How's that one?
That one, I've also received 1 or 2 deliverables from. So they've just started because we've had some amendments with them as well. A lot of the groundwater conservation grants are people that are new to grants and contracts with the state agency, so they kind of had fallen behind in some of their previous predictions. So some of these projects have a kind of a slower start than others.
So with in both those projects, with inflation affecting I'm sure the cost of these projects, are they gonna be able to complete them?
Yes.
within- Okay. All right.
So,
She said that confidently.
I know. Our funds are fixed. It's the other funds of the other partners that are gonna have to pay that difference.
Yeah, I'm glad you used the word fixed, too.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we said this much and that's it. But,
if they had any issues with their project, that'd be something they would have to reach out.
but we don't know if they've, you know, there's no progress in the field that we know of. I mean, we just don't.
I have the deliverables. I couldn't tell you,
What they are.
right now exactly what the work has been done, just because there's so many projects that are being, that I'm reviewing. But
I know you have a lot. I know you have a lot going on.
I can, after the meeting,
I would be interested in seeing how they're coming along. I mean, we allocated $1.245 million, and I just want to make sure it's being spent correctly, and I want us to be able to celebrate when there's some success about that and getting things done and be so to be a part of that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, I can provide that.
Thank you.
So right now, I'm just going to be going over the WMAP dashboard that we've been working on, and it's going to be posted to the website in the upcoming months. This dashboard consists of 5 tabs, and the first goes over the WMAP annual funding. So here you will find information regarding the unobligated fund balance, WMAP fee by year, and the total WMAP fees collected. And if you want to see information regarding a single AMA, so for example, the Phoenix AMA, you can click on the tab there and you would get all that information. In our next tab, we have the WMAP project. So you would select a project from this list, and you'll be able to be shown all the information regarding that project. So all information that is in the contract, and we have the Xeriscape demonstration garden here. They've completed their contract and have fulfilled all those terms.
And they have a report from that on what they accomplished?
Yes.
Is that available on the website here?
They're going to be presenting that today.
Okay. And will it be out there, though, on the website so that anybody can access it down the road?
So the presentations are posted online.
Okay. And their report or whatever their deliverable was?
Yes, I upload those to the WMAP website.
And you'll do that for all these?
Yes.
Eventually?
I upload the most recent deliverables to the website.
All right.
And on this next tab, we have the groundwater conservation grant projects. It has a similar layout. So you would just click on a project, and you'd be able to see the status of their project and what their predicted impact per year is, and for acre feet per year, as well as people reach per year, because some projects are education projects and don't have the exact acre feet per year savings.
Okay. All right.
And the remaining tabs are just for notes, and then we have a glossary of any uncommon terms. So stop sharing. Before we move on to the presentations, Kyle Miller will start the withdrawal fee discussions. But before that, are there any questions regarding the WMAP funds or DCP?
Yeah, I think Dave, I want to make a comment. Dave, I think it's a good point about the inflation and supply chain costs and everything, that making sure that they can finish their projects because they don't run into huge cost overruns. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I just want us to keep tabs of all this and making sure that they're gonna,
Be able to finish.
Yes, I'm in regular contact with all of the grantees. So if they had any issues, they should be voicing those to me and letting me know what's going on with their contract status and project status.
Well, so it would be fair to say on their reporting and the deliverables, it's self-reporting. Is that what you would call that?
Sure. Mm-hmm. They'll be reporting on their project status and just sending that over to us.
And we just have a high level of confidence in what they're reporting, or is it followed up? It's on them to complete the terms of their contract. If they don't, then they're out of compliance with the contract, and then that would be some things we have to follow up on. Great. And then all of this you're showing on the web, we'll be able to look on a website and see the deliverables, the contracts, blah, blah, blah. And that's under your responsibility? You're doing that work or overseeing it?
Yeah, so the WMAP webpage is something that I will upload most recent deliverables to, and the dashboard isn't live yet on our website, but it will be.
Dashboard, I like that term. Everybody uses that. I'd never heard of that till I was in banking. Yes, ma'am. You have a dashboard?
I just wanted to say really quickly that I hope you all took the opportunity to look at the groundwater videos that we completed. We're pretty proud of the work we did and thankful for the money that you gave Esther Design and Project West to complete those. We are in the, I'll talk a little bit about that when I make my presentation, but we are in the process of designing activities to go along with each one of those videos to be used in the classroom. So we're real excited about that.
Good. Thank you, Pam.
You did nice work.
Thank you, Pam. Okay.
Okay, so Kyle, if you'd like to start the withdrawal fee discussion.
Sure, thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Kennedy, for pulling up that. So withdrawal fees for 2022 are set at $3.25 per acre foot in the Phoenix area, which remains the same from 2021. 25 cents of that goes towards the WMAP, and 50 cents goes towards administration and enforcement, in addition to the $2.50 that goes towards the water bank, like we talked about earlier. Today, UAC members are asked to make a recommendation to the DWR director regarding the rate of withdrawal fees for reporting year 2023, which will be collected in calendar year 2024. And this table here is for reference for you, provides withdrawal fee rates and money collected from the past 5 years. And the highlighted sections to the far right under 2023 are the withdrawal fee statutory framework. So the component of the fee that goes towards the WMAP, and again, that's money set aside for conservation, augmentation, and research of water availability in the AMA, cannot exceed $2 per acre foot. The admin and enforcement component needs to be between 50 cents and $1 per acre foot. And then that water bank fee is set at $2.50 per acre foot. So I will allow the council to discuss and make a recommendation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that come up.
Thank you. Well, members, what's your desire?
Well, my desire was to, as Kyle knows from last year's discussion, was to do something about the $2.50 water bank fee, but it's statutory, so we can't do anything. You know, I'd like to do more on the WMAP. But I know that the farmers are the ones who pay the majority of this fee. And the money really goes to help for mostly municipal conservation and municipal farming, and some for Indian farming. So it's almost like farmers are paying to help the municipal. I mean, the type 2s and the other. The groundwater withdrawal permits pay this fee too?
Anyone who calls.
Yeah, I think they do, right? Yeah. So there's some industry that's paying for this as well. I don't know, my view is I don't want to be the last SRP person here that recommends that we increase the pump fee. So my view is to keep it the same as it is, but I think that we seriously need to come up with a way to get more into the WMAP in some way without impacting the farmers too much. I don't know how you do that. The cities don't use that much groundwater, so they don't pay much in terms of a pump tax, but they're getting a big benefit out of all this. That's my perspective. It may not be the perspective of others as well, but Frank may have a different view. So those are my thoughts.
Too bad he's not here. Rory, do you have comments?
I think I would, with the, that fee, what Dave was talking about, I would, since it falls on such a heavy part on the farmers, I concur with him. I wish there was another way to raise money for that program, a different avenue too. Because I think it's a good program, but it does fall on a certain segment that doesn't receive a lot of benefits. They receive.
I do have another. Oh, sorry, Roy.
No, I was concurring what you're saying too.
Is there, you know, the WIFA board and the new WIFA will be stood up here in a couple of weeks. And is there a way for the department to go before the WIFA board to seek some of the money that's been set aside for conservation to make a proposal to gain money from that pot of dollars for use in WMAP. I guess that's something for you, Natalie, or Kyle, to...
Mr. Roberts, with an acronym.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, which is...
Finance.
It's there, but it's going to be enhanced through this legislation that was passed this past session.
$1 billion?
Yeah, the $1 billion. Well, they didn't get all the billion, but they got a large chunk.
Remember when Jane would call everybody? Yeah, you know, not too well.
So I throw that out there as a concept for the department to, it is a separate entity, so that you all could make a case for more conservation dollars in the AMAs. That's just a thought. Again, my concern is the farmers paying for a lot of the conservation stuff through the pump tax. Maybe even have a differential pump tax or something, I don't know. So it's not all on the farmers, it's the cities who don't pump that much water anyway pay a little bit more, you know, whatever. So something to think about. I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of friends with a lot of points with our city friends, but anyway.
Well, you made a lot of points with me.
I know I did that, Steve.
So that's not so bad. Rory, are you all done?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you, Mr. Roberts, for giving most of my speech right there, because that's how I looked at it. It is, a lot of that burden is carried on the farmers, and a lot of other people in other areas get benefits. But a lot of, like what Ms. Justice does over there, is teaching the urban and suburban kids about what goes on in agricultural areas. So the farmers do like that and are grateful for that. Talking to some of our pumping friends out there, or I guess I should say my pumping friends, you've probably heard that they've had substantial increases to the cost of pumping and lifting water. We were talking about supply chains earlier. You brought up inflation. Can they some of these projects we're funding, can they complete? And it's the same. A farmer told me what's on my brain just early this morning. We're wondering, should we really plant this late fall, early winter crop with the water increase we've seen in just 1 year? 333% since October 21 in his particular power authority district. So he was telling me, gosh, his water costs had been in around the $50. That was just the energy side, folks. There's other costs that go involved with the machinery in the plant, and doesn't even discuss any labor. But anyway, so that's up over 333%. Yes, commodity prices have risen too, but that nothing lasts forever. And I, as a farmer, I can here tell you, in my almost 40 years experience of growing commodities, they come down a lot faster than the inputs will come down. So when we look at talking about increases, then maybe 3%, 7% on these fees, it doesn't sound like much, but when you're looking at a farmer who's putting 3.5, 4, 5 acre feet, depending on the crop, and with those input price increases on us and property taxes and labor increasing, it just goes on and on. There's a real pressure to make every acre perform, and double and even triple crop in some places. So these acre feet numbers go up, and the amount of water we're putting per acre foot. So just to increase that fee that little bit, it really has a multiplier effect per acre to the farmer. So it's difficult, hard, absorbing these things. And if you haven't heard it, farmers are price takers. They don't pass on their cost to somebody else. They just don't raise the price of cotton that's traded on a world market. We don't raise the price of alfalfa that's traded on regional markets. We don't raise the price of lettuce that's traded again on a national plus market. And it makes it very difficult to absorb those costs and to pass on. That's my take on all of that. So I remember doing this last year, but I don't remember a lot about it. Are we required to make a recommendation, or could we say status quo? I guess that would be a type of recommendation. Or do we actually have to?
Well, I'll make a motion, to keep the fees, consistent for 2023 to be consistent with what they are for 2022. We're just making a recommendation to the director.
You're right, yes, and he can do as he pleases.
Right.
with the music. Great.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Great.
We can take a vote there. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Right, I have 3 ayes, and all those opposed? Carries 3-0. So I have it recorded as keeping the withdrawal fees $3.25 per acre foot for the calendar year 2023, or reporting year 2023.
And Kyle, when you make the recommendation to, I don't know, do you make it directly to Tom, or does it go through Natalie, or how's it go?
Yeah, I work up a memo and then meet with Tom and we decide.
Okay, if you could pass along to him this idea about maybe, you know, we're struggling with the WMAP. We would like more money in there for more conservation programs. But I think it sends the right message. So if you could mention to him some of our ideas about coming up with some additional funds. One is to go make a pitch to the WIPA board at some point. They're going to get $200,000, I think, or something like that for conservation. So I don't know what he would think about that. But.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll definitely have that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Great, thank you. I'm thinking the water bank. They're called a bank.
Yeah, well, they have a mission.
Interest-free loan, is that in?
No, that's through the finance authority, you go get that stuff.
We don't make loans.
The bank is, yeah,
And it's 200 million
it's a $200 million for the
for the
conservation.
initial grant.
Right. So we just request $5 million over 5 years, $1 million a year for WMAC, Phoenix AMA. I think a lot of people will be happy about that.
Will you come back next year?
I may help DWR make the pitch, who knows?
All right, we're done with that area, it sounds like. Agenda item 6, WMAP project update, Arizona project WET. Pam Justice will provide an update on Arizona project WET activities and request a contract renewal. Welcome. Ms.
Thank you,
Justice.
thank you. Vice Chairman Bales and council members, I like to walk around, so I'm going to stand up and not sit in a chair, if you don't mind. First, I thank you for supporting Project WET for several years now. And we are a program of the university, for those that don't know about Project WET. We are a program of the University of Arizona and part of the cooperative extension. We get our funding from different entities, usually like a pay-for product. So we'll do water festivals for different school districts with funding from their water provider. And we do in-classroom presentations for school districts. Again, a lot of it paid for by the local provider, but we do get funding from Salt River Project, from Arizona Department of Water Resources, and those kind of fill in the gap because most of what we do is personnel related. It's funding for our staff members. A lot of our supplies aren't that expensive. We use PVC and plastic cups and all kinds of interesting things that teachers can afford to purchase to use in the classroom when they're delivering the activities that we're modeling for them. So if we could go to the next slide. So our mission is to provide people with the knowledge and skills to take action for water stewardship in their community. We do that. We do go out and make presentations to adults in the community. but most of what we do is educating students and teachers in workshops. So we build STEM literacy and water stewardship by doing teacher PD. We have workshops primarily in the summertime when the teachers are available to us. We also do direct student outreach, so we go into the classroom, and then some of our programs, at the end of a unit, they may go out to a riparian area and actually apply hypotheses to prove or disprove a hypothesis that they've made on some type of environmental issue. And we also try to include the community members and tie them in with the K-12 education system by having them volunteer. Those riparian visits require volunteers to help us lead the students on their research, and then our water festivals require a lot of volunteer help in order to make those happen. Next slide. So this is kind of an overview of the different programs that we do, the teacher academies, the water scene investigation, the school water audit. We do an engineering design where students replicate a model of the Salt River project. We at one point did it with trash cans and PVC tubing, and we took the 336-mile CAP and shrunk it down to 33.6 feet, and then used solar pumps to pump the water uphill to get the water to the final destination. We've even made it smaller and something that teachers can replicate by using cups and cool noodles cut in half for our canals and little motion pumps. And so now it's 33.6 inches, our model, and it's a tabletop model. And the kids absolutely have a blast with it. They love it. We also do a lot of groundwater activities in the classroom. So if we go to the next slide, but the one, just before you go to the next slide, sorry, the most important star there is the students. So we have indirect contact with 18 in the last 2 years. Since I haven't been here for a couple of years, I thought I'd include the year before last at the end of COVID when our numbers started picking up a little bit. So this is 2021 and 21-22 numbers. So we had contact with 18,174 students, direct contact in the classroom with 2,485 for a total of a little over 20,659 students. Next slide, please. So again, our teacher professional development helps evolve teachers' instructional practice and also, obviously, water content mastery. And use this with STEM integration and real-world hands-on application. And then we go into the classroom and support those teachers after they have done professional development with us. So in the last 2 years, we've had 490 teachers attend workshops impacting 16,320 students, and that 490 multiplied by the number of hours that they attended those workshops for a total of 2,625 combined hours. Next slide. So our multi-day academies for teachers was a 3-day. The first day was looking at learning and systems thinking, which is a type of educational teaching tool that we embrace. And then the second day, they learned went to Waters of Our World, which we have now renamed Waters of Arizona. And that is one of the workshops where we use the Pump It Up engineering design with the tabletop model of the CAP. And then the third day was the riparian habitat exploration, and those teachers that would like to take their students, it's a learning unit, so the teachers have to do activities in the classroom. The closure of that is to make those riparian visits, either out to Hacienda Preserve or to the Rio Salado Habitat Restoration Site, so that they can prove or disprove their theories. So we've had 27 teachers go through that in the last 2 years, impacting 3,700 students. Next. Our 2-day academy, which is partially funded by CAWCD, is all about the Colorado River and the Central Arizona Project Canal and what's happening currently with our drought situation on the river. Teachers in this workshop, especially this year, were so interested because of all of the media coverage of what's happening in the Southwest. So we had 18 middle and high school teachers who will be teaching over 1,800 students attend that. If you go to the next slide, I always like to show knowledge gain. So the teachers do a pre-assessment of their knowledge based on content that they're going to learn in the workshop. And the blue line on the graph is their prior knowledge. And then the orange is their knowledge gain and how they felt, what they felt they knew on those particular topics. And this particular year was probably one of our highest knowledge gain years, triple the knowledge on a lot of the issues. You know, we go into dendrochronology and how do we look at past water and weather patterns. And so they really did learn a lot this last year. Next. There's our tabletop CAP model. Next. So our one-day workshops we did one-day workshop, well, it was a one-day workshop tied in with the Water Resources Research Center's annual conference this year, which was about water, obviously, on the Colorado River. And those teachers attended virtually day one of the conference and then had to attend 3 more sessions over the next 2 days. And then they met with us and we shared with them 2 new activities that we're doing about ag irrigation. And I was sharing with Stephen earlier, we're really excited about delivering these 2 new activities to help people understand how much water and the cost of water in the food that they are eating. And but then the other one-day workshops, the teachers that bring their students to a water festival, and we do 25 water festivals across the state of Arizona right now. They have to attend a one-day workshop, and because they do activities prior to the water festival and then post-water festival to embed that knowledge and knowledge gain for those students. So we had 342 fourth grade teachers attend those one days, and they impact 10,871 students. Your funding helps to pay for the workshops, but not the water festivals themselves. So we don't share that number with you, but our water festivals in Maricopa County probably 25, 30,000 students, fourth grade students that attend those just in Maricopa County alone. Next. That's our little water talk guy. Have to include him every once in a while. So our direct student outreach is actually taking lessons and activities into the classroom. We do water scene investigations, a school water audit, pump it up engineering design, and Wonders of Our World Aquastem unit. And they learned that one is with groundwater system and riparian habitat exploration. Next. So I've broken those up. The water scene investigation, we've been in 19 sixth grade classrooms in the last 2 years, impacting 538 students with a combined estimated gallon per year savings of 428,202 gallons of water. That's a 2-day visit into the classroom, and those students at the end of day 1 take an aerator home with them and change an aerator on a bathroom faucet used by the most people in their home. They have to collect data, flow before change with the old aerator, with the new aerator, and then they have to interview their family and ask them how many seconds they let the water run when they brush their teeth and wash their face and wash their hands. And so they do a math computation to figure out the savings from changing the aerator. We combine the whole class together, and then if there are multiple classes at the school, we combine that. Next. So we have some, this number is actually incorrect. We do a school water audit in 6th through 12th grade classrooms. That is, students actually change aerators on faucets at their school. And so this last year, we actually did that with 6 schools, and their savings was a little less than 1 million gallons at those schools from changing aerators. I think they changed 68 aerators. Next. And then there's the Pump It Up. We've had 18 teachers who have gone through the training, and they plan on doing this with 1,847 students in their class. Next. Our groundwater system activity, we have actually designed it for 4th grade and then for middle school, 6th to 8th grade. We just use a little of different models for the 2 different grade levels. But we were in 49 classes, impacting 1,215 students. That also includes 3 riparian habitat visits with 37 volunteers that were necessary to deliver those. Next. So these are the concepts that we really think are important that we make sure that the students get when they are in those activities in the classroom. When we make sure that we deliver those concepts, those are really important that they understand that. And that's just a picture of one of the classrooms we were in where we're delivering the groundwater presentation, and the kids are, you can see they're excited and asking lots of questions, and we just wanted to show you how engaging it is. Next. And of course, this is out at Hacienda Preserve, and this is one of our groups of students that were out there doing a riparian habitat exploration. They become environmental scientists of some sort. They choose what they want to be. They might be a water chemist or biologist, and they have done some research in their class. They've done several hours of work on learning about riparian habitats, and a lot of those kids, inner city kids, have never been out in that kind of an environment before, and they just really enjoy themselves. So we took 11 classes out, impacting 250 students, and with those 37 volunteers I talked about earlier. Next. So why should you support Project WET? Students get exposed to these subjects in their regular curriculum. It's tied to the standards. It's real-world relevant, hands-on. A lot of these units are multiple days that the teacher's involved with, and the learning is much deeper. And it's when they're doing like a school water audit, it saves the school water and real money, and it saves groundwater. So we're constantly changing and improving our program. Next. So with those groundwater videos that we made this last year, we are writing lessons to go with those and worksheets that they will do in the classroom, the students will do in the classroom. We've also written 2 Arizona agricultural irrigation lessons. One is called Analyzing the Cost of Water and Food. The other is Designing Water Irrigation Models. The irrigation models are aluminum sheet pans filled with soil. They have to design an irrigation system with bendable straws, and they make center pivots, they make walking irrigation, strip irrigation, they do flood irrigation, they've tried a lot of different techniques, so they have fun with that. And then we are currently working on a Legos robot that's going to actually be a soil and water probe tester. And we're working on that particular activity right now. We have the Legos built, and now we're writing the curriculum to go with them. Next. Next.
Where's the robot?
Oh, I should have brought the robot, and then he could have like crawled across the floor. Any questions?
None for me, it's great.
For me.
I like seeing the joy on the kids' faces when they accomplish this, so learn more about it. I think some of those kids that are working on the ag irrigation can probably help you on your farm.
You're reading my mind. I'm thinking free labor. Well, they're receiving all these free money. So.
We did our first test run with students out in Arlington at Arlington Elementary, and
there you go.
and they had a lot of fun. Yeah. They were pretty knowledgeable.
They know it out
Yeah,
there.
they live
That's
out
what they
there
do.
in that ag area. Yeah.
Well, Pam, I love the emphasis on ag, and I wouldn't expect anything less from with your background, but showing, you know, our city kids who eat 3 times a day, we hope and pray, but not understanding where it comes from. Pam knows about this great program called the Chocolate Milk Does Not Come from a Brown Cow. And also the How to Grow a Pizza. I don't know if you did that or Jeanette or who does all that one, but How to Grow a Pizza, and kids are like, what? There's an ag connection to these foods? Oh, boy. We have a lot of work to do.
My family
Thankfully.
farms, so Stephen and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah. So thankfully, you're doing that, and I love seeing that. I like the topic of groundwater and discussing that with them and about just the whole way, the water cycle, what it goes and what I saw from all that. That is really good one that we get. It's easy to be removed from, even farm kids, if somebody doesn't stop to tell
And as you
them
heard
about
from
it.
Melissa, we are requesting $75,000 a year, $50 for the next 2. And we're hoping that you can find some more money to help us expand our programs and pay for those ag programs and our new groundwater video activities. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming down. Good to
Thank
see
you.
So we get to make a recommendation? We don't get to approve anything, do we? We just make recommendations?
No.
I don't know why I'm so slow to catch you.
I think this is more of a, it is a recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, I'll move to recommend that we fund Arizona Project at the amounts that Pam just mentioned.
The increased level?
Yep.
Okay. Very generous.
And I'm hoping we can get some money out of the 200 million to help down the road. Will 200 million help you?
Oh, okay.
Hey, you're gonna get all that. It's easy.
Rory?
I second that. I agree. I
You
think it's a
second that?
great program.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that one's done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving, are you okay, Kennedy? Am I scaring you?
No.
Okay, good. I might not be allowed in the room next time. Item number 7, agenda item 7, City of Surprise Xeriscape Demonstration Garden. Amy and Amanda will provide an update on the WMAP-funded Xeriscape Demonstration Garden in the City of Surprise. Ladies, take it away.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman Bales and members of the council. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, sounds good. So my name is Amy Peterson. I'm a water resource analyst for the City of Surprise. And I've invited my colleague Amanda to co-present with me. So what I'm going to do is kick it off with a little bit of history and show you a video, a drone video of our Xeriscape garden. And then Amanda will kind of talk a little bit more about what's in the garden and some of the programming that we're currently offering. So I also want to start my presentation by thanking ADWR as well as the Department of Forestry. I just want to acknowledge this was a grant-funded project as well as city-funded, but it would not have been possible without the funding from ADWR as well as the Department of Forestry and Fire Management's contributions. So just a little bit about the City of Surprise. This is a map of our municipal planning area. It covers our annex boundaries as well as our MAG planning boundaries. And there's lots of colors on that map. Really, I wanted to include that to show you kind of the size of our municipal planning area, 302 square miles. Currently, 108 of that is incorporated. And there are 12 water providers in our city. This is somewhat unique in the Valley. We have a couple, smaller private water providers. The City of Surprise provides water to about 1/3 of the population of our incorporated boundaries. And where you'll see that in the map is in the darker blue shades. That's our active service area. And you can see in the green shaded area, that is EPCOR's water service area. So EPCOR is actually the largest water provider. We are the second largest. And that makes conservation and outreach somewhat challenging because we don't have as many outlets to kind of, essentially, we're trying to reach our full population with the funding from just our water utility. So anything that we can do to be more visible in the public is very powerful. And the Xeriscape Garden, which is obviously open to the public, is a very important tool for us for the future. So thank you. I put a couple numbers in there just to kind of show you the size of our water service area. So we currently serve about 21,000 potable water accounts. Last year, we delivered a total of 9,088 acre feet. That is actually between reclaimed water uses and potable water uses. And we are a designated provider within the city's service area. And our designation volume is 24,450 acre feet. Also, just lastly on this slide, I'll mention that 90% of our customer accounts are single family residential accounts. So the city of Surprise has a pretty rich agricultural history. And as we've sort of developed as a city, we're transitioning into more of a bedroom community. And you can move to the next slide.
So Amy, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Can you go back to that slide? So Surprise, is that the dark blue area there, or?
That's correct. So the dark blue area reflects the active service area in the city of Surprise. So you can see there's two portions to that.
Yeah.
We have, we do have two public water systems that are active, and we have a third one kind of on the west side of that map that should be coming online in probably a year.
So is that light blue area, that's a large area, is that your municipal planning area?
It is our municipal planning area. It's also reflective of our future water service area. So all of that light blue has the potential to become the utilities service area once it develops.
So do you surround the entire area of El Mirage?
We don't. El Mirage borders us on the east.
Because I see a kind of a yellowish, it says City of El Mirage. It's within the middle of that whole blue area.
Yes, so that is a square mile that is included in the city's service area. It's actually the original town site. It's 1 square mile, and El Mirage is the water provider, even though that square mile is in the city's City of Surprises municipal boundary.
You can read that?
Yeah, I can read that. I am
Yeah, good
old,
eyes.
but I can't read that. I have glasses on. You need to get some glasses.
I do, but they're not even working.
So is Circle City within your planning area?
Yes, sir, it is.
And they have a large CAP allocation, or at least did, a fairly large one.
Yeah, so the City of Surprise initiated a condemnation process to acquire Circle City Water in 2018, I believe.
Did that go through?
It is still in sort of the Court of Appeals process. So it was voter approved. There's an agreement between the city and Circle City. But yeah, the finalization of that acquisition, we're looking at probably 18 months away.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And Amy, and explain Saguaro Acres while you're at it, or maybe I missed it. What is that about?
So Saguaro Acres and Saguaro View, those are both parts of our municipal boundaries that are more like ranchette communities. So they're acre lots with custom homes on them. And at some point in time, those communities created either a CFD a community facilities district or an HOA that is in charge or responsible for managing their shared well. So they're pretty small water providers, but they cover a large area because they're all like 1 acre lots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. So this is to give you an idea of the before and after with our garden. So the building that you see in the background is Surprise City Hall. It was built about 13 years ago. And when it was built, there were plans for the space just to the north of City Hall to be converted to, or build a gallery for the Heard Museum. And for whatever reason, I don't know the full history on that, that did not happen. So for the last 13 years, that space has sat vacant as a dirt lot that collects water when it rains. And to be perfectly honest, was probably not compliant for stormwater requirements because you'd have it filled with water for a few days anytime it rained. So we've had this, this space available. And when the Heard Museum idea kind of fell through, the director of the Water Resource Management Department at that time had the idea for a xeriscape demonstration garden. But this, the city didn't have the funding for that. The city at the time didn't even have a full-time water conservation specialist. And it was really when they decided to fund a full-time water conservation specialist position that they decided to get serious about building a xeriscape demonstration garden. And so the picture in the middle is kind of the initial conceptual design, and then the picture on the right is the completed version. And then you're actually going to see a video that gives you more scope of what that garden looks like. So, all right, so there should be a play button. It does have sound, but you don't need it. It's just music. Really, we just want to make sure you're able to see this, this drone footage. And apologies if it is choppy. And don't worry, the video is only a minute long.
Beautiful.
You can see our URL there on the bottom of the screen, surpriseaz.gov/xeriscape. That's where you can find more information about some of the features in the garden, as well as information about our ribbon cutting ceremony, which is this Saturday at 9 a.m. So I want to transition a little bit more into what's in the garden. Do we have any questions so far?
No.
Okay, great. So in the garden, we have 63 individual plant species. There's probably over 300 plants, individual plants themselves. 51 of those plants are trees. You're not seeing a lot of shade right now, but as we know, that's because our trees are young and things are spaced out pretty well, because what we're trying to demonstrate is right plant, right place, and planting for growth, making sure that those plants as their canopies grow aren't competing with each other. There's concrete and DG pathways. There's some gorgeous seating areas and an amphitheater, which is really the focal point of our ability to do programming in this space. It's a very intentional space for education purposes. The picture that you're seeing right now is featuring a sculpture that was designed by West Valley High School students. Our Arts and Cultural Advisory Commission funded that. And it was a partnership with the Arts HQ Gallery, which is located right next to the Xeriscape Garden. They host an annual youth program that allows high school students to design a sculpture that will end up being fabricated. So we're very proud of that because those students spent some time learning about the Xeriscape principles, and they came up with about 9 different designs. We only picked 2 of them to make, but they really did a beautiful job of representing the principles of Xeriscape in our garden. So we're very grateful for that. We've also got interpretive signage sprinkled throughout the garden that kind of explains some of the maintenance components that we're promoting, and just tells a little bit about each zone and the different types of plants that are in there. And then I really want to make sure you all know that this is irrigated 100% with our City of Surprise reclaimed water, which is A+ reclaimed water that we're very proud of. So I'm going to transition the presentation over to Amanda, who's going to talk a little bit more about some of our programming aspects.
Good afternoon, Vice Chairman Bales and members of council. My name is Amanda Rothermall, and I am a water resource analyst with Surprise, but I'm also currently kind of conducting and running our conservation program while we are looking for a new conservation specialist. And one of the big reasons for having this garden, and we're so excited for this garden, is to use it as a water management tool. Here in Surprise, about 60% of our potable water is used outdoors. And it's, as you've probably heard before, it's kind of our lowest hanging fruit is to get our residents to reduce their outdoor water use. And the way we do that is through leak detection and through proper maintenance and care of your outdoor spaces. When converting to xeric landscaping, you can reduce about 58 gallons of water annually per square foot. And we really try to show our residents that this is a water savings tool, it is a money savings tool, and it is a win for both the municipality and them as homeowners. Next slide, please. So at the Xeriscape Garden site, we also have a building that we are co-using with the University of Arizona Master Gardener Program. We have a very robust Master Gardener presence here in the West Valley, and particularly in Surprise, Sun City West, Sun City Grand. We have a lot of volunteers very excited and eager to help promote our ideas of low water use plants, right plant, right place, and proper plant maintenance and care. And so the Surprise University of Arizona Master Gardener Office was created in partnership with us. And we call it our Water Education Center. They call it their Surprise Master Gardener Office, but it is all the same space. And so we both use it as an educational space for Master Gardener hours, Ask a Master Gardener. Our program, we run conservation classes both in the classroom and in the garden. And then the Master Gardeners will be providing classes both inside this classroom and in the garden space. Next slide. So our Xeriscape Garden is built on the 7 principles of Xeriscape. So planning and designing, soil improvement, practical turf areas, which we actually do not have turf areas in this garden. We did not have an active turf space that we wanted to use, but we do not condemn the idea of turf. We just want people to know that use it when appropriate. Efficient irrigation, mulching, low water use plants, and then appropriate maintenance. So there are programs designed around each one of these principles that will be taught throughout the fall. And we have this actually on our large entrance kiosk that helps residents learn about these principles of Xeriscape. Next slide. And we really want residents to understand Xeriscape versus Xeroscape. What we're hearing in media, what we're hearing from residents is they're worried that we're going to take away their beautiful yards. We're hearing that they're worried we're going to take away, grass or somewhere that they might want to go and sit in their backyard. And we don't want residents to have to go sit on a concrete jungle or just on bare rock. We want them to understand that you can really build and design beautiful landscapes using low water use plants. So throughout the garden, we have different sections and themes so that they can see, oh, I want shade, I want more tropical looking plants, but they're low water use. I want a lot of green, or I want a lot of color. And we're really trying to help residents see that there is a diverse plant palette available to them. And a lot of residents, particularly here in the West Valley, they're transplants. They're not Arizona natives themselves. And so they don't really understand the plant palette that we have here in the Sonoran Desert. And we get a lot of residents that, you know, if they come from the Midwest or they come from the Pacific Northwest, they want to bring their rose bushes with them, or they want to bring a favorite plant. And so what we like to do is we like to try to give alternatives of what is it you like about that plant, and we can help you find something that is either native or native compatible that can give you that same aesthetic, but use a third or a quarter of the water that your plant that you're trying to bring from home is. Next slide. So within the garden, we do have 4 themes. Our low desert theme section is all native plants. So that's where you're going to see our saguaros, our brittlebush, our globe mallow, our native prickly pears and agaves. And this is really going to try to showcase that our native plants are beautiful and they can be designed together. Our native trees, like our ironwoods and our foothills palo verdes, they can provide an aesthetic that is pleasant and great to be in. We then have native compatible, which are low water use plants that do well here, and they showcase just kind of that low water use, and they look very similar to our native plants. The center section, which is the most densely planted area right now, is our sensory section. And this is supposed to be an area that has diverse smells. Like we've got lavenders in there, we've got brittlebush in there, we've got sages in there, we've got rosemary in there, and we've got a lot of different plants that allow you to see textures and colors and sizes, as well as different smells and senses. And then last, we have our year-round color section. And so these plants were actually designed to be blooming every single month of the year. So you can walk in at any point, like right now, we've got our desert rain lilies and our diamantias are blooming. But then you might have a Mexican honeysuckle, or you might have Eramophilas and leucophyllums blooming in the winter and in the spring. So we've got plants that will bloom and flowers that will be blooming all year long. And so our residents can kind of see at any point that they want to come by, they can see flowers and blooming plants. And then we do have 2 larger interpretive panels that really describe, and these are very informational panels that help describe proper techniques for homeowners. The first one is proper watering. We often see residential homes with drip lines right next to the trunk of a tree, or perhaps they've got 4 or 5 emitters on a small shrub. And so we have an entire panel that has information from both Water Use It Wisely as well as city resources that describe how to properly watering at your drip line, making sure you're watering deep enough. Oftentimes that shallow watering is what causes trees to fall over. And so we're educating our residents to properly water, and that's what will help maintain the health and growth of your plants. And then we have an interpretive panel all about urban forests. The Department of Fire and Forestry Management was one of our grant partners, and we wanted to make sure that we highlighted the importance of trees within our space, particularly in the desert, in the Sonoran Desert. Those trees provide shade, and that shade can cool 15 to 25 degrees in the summertime. And that's really important, particularly if you're trying to keep your cooling costs down in the summertime. A lot of people will put grass in because they feel like, well, it's the only way to cool off my backyard and keep my home cooler. But you can do the exact same thing with trees, and you can plant trees for shade, and they will also protect your home, and they will also lower that air conditioner bill in the summertime. All right, next slide, please. And so we've got quite a bit of education planned in the garden, both as active education where we have planned programming, either the conservation specialist or Amy or myself, or we have outside consultants that come in, or the master gardeners that come in and provide water education classes, garden tours and classroom tours throughout the garden. But then we also have quite a bit of passive education. So those residents that maybe don't want to come sit for an hour-long class, they can come by, and we've got flyers and brochures that are in kiosks throughout the garden. We've got our main kiosk has a map of the garden with all the themed areas. It has a resource board that has information they can take with them. It's got flyers and brochures that they can take with them. We have a bulletin board there that we will be posting all of our programming, both for the city and for master gardeners. And then our hope is that we will be soon installing plant of the month, animal of the month, and then self-guided tour pamphlets. So all of these things are available to residents. And that picture you see there is the Water Education Center Master Gardener office. We hosted a Hydrate Surprise series this summer all about rainwater harvesting. And at this particular class, I think we had 27 participants there. And they were learning all about rainwater harvesting and how to capture and use that rainwater. And then afterwards, we encouraged them, we took them out to the garden to see how to kind of contour your landscape and how to actually capture that water. And that way you're using less potable supply and you're using less water that you would use inside your home. And these classes are open to the public and everyone in the city of Surprise. So like Amy said, we use this particularly to reach out to all of our Surprise residents, even though we are a municipality of about a third of them. Next slide. I do believe that's it. So do you guys have any other questions or comments?
This is Roy. I think it's a really good idea educating people, because just because you have desert plants doesn't mean you can't waste water. It's very important when you water, how you water, type thing. So it's keeping that in front of them, because you can overwater a mesquite tree and train it to be a water hog. So it's important to, water at the right time, like 4 o'clock in the morning versus in the middle of the day at 3 when there's high evaporation rates. So I think this is a great program. Great job.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and congrats on your garden. It's beautiful. Can't wait to see it in about 5 more years. And if we keep having the monsoon, it's going to be really something.
Yeah, so something we actually want to do with the board that we have out there is we're going to take pictures every year to kind of show the growth, and that this is what you do this is what happens when you plan for growth. And this year's photos, the plants are pretty spaced apart and there seems to be a lot of bare space, but next year and the year after, and you're right, in 5 years they will see a much different view. Yeah.
Amy and Amanda, I have a couple of questions. Are landscape maintenance professionals that work within the city, are they a part of the Master Gardener program, or are they separate? And if they're separate, do you have a program to educate them about what's available with it from the city to help plan sort of desert landscaping?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have landscape professionals in the city that are part of either the Public Works Department or the Parks and Recreation Department. And when I went through the Master Gardener program 3 years ago, I went through it with one of our Public Works street supervisors. So he oversees the medians in the city. So I believe most of them have either gone through, have gone through the Smartscape program that's also run by the Extension Office. And then we have at least one person that's gone through the Master Gardener program. But I think, you're probably aware that the Master Gardener program is a volunteer program. And so you can go through the training, but it is separate from, it's not a professional certification, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they have credentials from Smartscape and Alka and kind of a variety of places.
Okay. I was more interested in beyond just the city landscape folks, but individual private companies that work within your city to maintain private residences or commercial residences.
Oh, yeah,
Are
great
they
question.
Yeah, so for I'll answer this kind of a couple of ways. This is Amanda. The contractor that the city utilizes to take care of our spaces, and like the contractor we're using inside the garden, they're a commercial landscape contractor, but we required that they were a certified arborist, that they were ALCA and Sustainable Landscape Management certified. And so we promote that. We do have kind of a list of know your pros, know your professional that we will provide to our HOAs, our HOA boards, our commercial properties, and kind of tell them these are the certifications you want to look for from a landscape professional. But right now we do not, we don't have any requirement on the particular landscapers that work on private properties or commercial properties. But we do try to educate our residents that this is what you want to look for in a landscaper. And it is a program that we are wanting to develop, and something Amy and I have talked about is trying to offer education and educational outreach to those landscapers. It's just, something that we haven't gotten to yet, but it is a future goal of ours. This year, we did participate in the ALCA Roundtable, which targeted commercial and HOA landscapers and informed them, educated them on city practices, municipal practices, and what we would be doing moving forward through drought preparedness plans, what we would be expecting from them, and what we recommend they do moving forward. And so we are trying to reach out that way, and we are trying to educate those residents on who to look for in a landscape profession.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
I just had one other, was the Desert Botanical Garden involved at all in helping with you on your plant palette at all?
No, only as far as inspiration. We did visit there during conceptual design phase.
Okay.
And actually, that brings up a great point. We did, I mentioned grant partners earlier, but what I forgot to mention is that we had about 200 plants that were donated by Mountain States Wholesale Nursery. So we're very grateful for that partnership as well.
Okay. Well, DBG could be, a Desert Botanical Garden here in Phoenix, can always be a good asset and good resource to draw upon relative to the things that you're working on there for your city. So I know it's a long ways away. Perhaps you could talk to DBG about having a auxiliary botanical garden in the West Valley of some sort. That would be kind of an interesting showcase for them. So, and for just showcasing desert landscaping. So, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, great idea. Thank you.
Another idea is nursery associations. Any of those associations out there have the latest, and a lot of universities, University of Arizona has had a lot of different insight on those kind of things for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Anything else? Plant palette, way to go, Mr. Roberts. I want to add that to my repertoire.
They said it. I was like, I wrote it down. It's kind of interesting. I hadn't thought about it.
I like it.
I have to check my plant palette at home.
Mine,
I think it's about
mine too. Very great presentation. Thank you. Melissa, what's your thing?
I have a comment once
What?
you're finished with your questions.
Say that again, Kyle, you cut out.
Oh, sorry. I said I have a comment once you finish with your questions.
Oh, okay, I was just gonna ask about the contract. Is it in here?
The renew for the Xeriscape, I don't, no, I didn't include that contract, but if that's something that she'd like, I can include that.
Oh, I was curious. What was the funding amount?
$200,000.
Yeah, okay. Kyle, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. We are a little less than 15 minutes until 3 o'clock, and we have 2 presentations left. Number 8, the overdraft and safe yield, is kind of a lengthy presentation that we anticipate will inspire some conversation. So if it pleases the council, we can push that presentation until the next meeting and go right to number 9.
Okay with me, but you know what I'm gonna say.
That would be fun.
Are you gonna be at the next meeting?
I'm gonna tune in just to listen
No need
to
your comment.
Amanda talk about it.
Rory, are you okay with jumping over 8?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, I'm all about getting out early from anywhere I can, but excuse me if I've run this my first meeting over. Wow. Under the blame. All right, we're jumping to number 9. And John Riggins, all right, will now provide us with a statewide planning activities update. Go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, council members, for having me. I don't remember how long this takes, but I will kind of go quickly through it and ask questions as I proceed. My name is John Riggins. I'm the statewide planning manager here at ADWR. I'll be providing an overview of the new supply and demand assessment that was a provision in the recently passed Senate Bill 1740. My team in statewide planning is going to be collaborating and working very closely with the department's AMA team, among many other programs at ADWR, on this new supply and demand assessment, and we're excited to get things started. So I'll provide a brief overview of our plan going forward, and I'll just say one note. The department is still very early in the stages of developing this process to meet the requirements of the supply and demand assessment. So some of the procedural questions we still may not have hard answers on, but I'll be able to provide updates at subsequent GUAC meetings to get you more information. So here is a quote from the governor from the 2019 DCP legislation. As we know, we're still being met with the same challenges today with ongoing drought, emphasizing a need to continue innovative and forward thinking when it comes to water resources. Next slide, please. So here is a quote from the director. This is after the signing of the new legislation. So Senate Bill 1740 was actually one of the last acts passed in this last, most recent legislative session, and it expands Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, also known as WIFA. WIFA will continue to fund the design and construction of water infrastructure projects, but will now have new duties to pursue augmentation and conservation projects with the new board structure appointed jointly by the legislature and the governor. And as Mr. Roberts stated, that will be stood up here within a month. Shortly. Also, the state budget appropriated new money, approximately $1 billion, of which includes the long-term water augmentation fund, the water supply development revolving fund, and then the new water conservation grant fund, which is $200 million for the initial grant program. Next slide, please. So what I'm here to brief on is the provision in Senate Bill 1740, which requires the Arizona Department of Water Resources to conduct a rolling 5-year supply and demand assessment of each groundwater basin in the state. So this is actually the bill language here in the new statute. This is the new provision in Title 45, which is the department statute outlining the requirements to analyze and prepare a water supply and demand assessment for at least 6 of the groundwater basins every year with all the basins having a supply and demand assessment completed once every 5 years. And this includes the groundwater basins of the state's 5 AMAs. So these are the new provisions in Title 49 of Arizona Revised Statute, which outlines the scope of the newly restructured WIFA. These provisions explain the purpose of the supply and demand assessment as they relate to WIFA's evaluation of water supply development projects and the supply and demand assessments. Next slide, please. Here are a few of the previous assessment studies involving ADWR. The ones shown here primarily are for the state's 5 AMAs. These studies looked at historical water demand and supply characteristics for the AMAs for a determined time frame. In addition, the assessments calculated various water supply and demand projection scenarios for the AMAs. And there's a link actually at the bottom to those past assessments. Next slide, please. In order to analyze the statewide water use and develop an estimate, we have historically considered data sets from various sources. As you see from the slide, the AMA data is derived from reported data provided by various water use sectors. We also include water use estimates provided by the USGS for groundwater basins around the state, many of which are outside the state's 5 AMAs. We also include community water systems, or CWS, reported data for water use outside the state's AMAs. So all of these sources help the department develop a statewide water use estimate. Next slide, please. So if you've attended any water resource meeting that we've hosted in the past few years, you likely are familiar with this slide and this chart, which illustrates the compilation of all of those data sets and data sources into our statewide water use estimates. Again, it's derived from a multitude of reported and estimated water uses from around the state. Next slide, please. So that actually brings us to the how. How are we going to complete the new supply and demand assessment pursuant to the new provision in ARS? So the statewide planning team has been working and will continue to work very closely with the AMA team to collaborate and develop our plan to accomplish these new requirements. This includes the process of hiring new staff to help accomplish this task, which we are in the middle of doing and we're doing prior to this meeting. We are working on hiring new supply and demand analysts, an AMA data and document specialist, and we recently hired a statewide planning stakeholder outreach coordinator. So we are very much in the throes of this process of hiring our new team to be ready to take on this task. We immediately began our process in July once this bill was signed in early July. And yeah, next slide, please. So here are some considerations and scenarios and assumptions for the supply and demand analysis. I will say again that we're currently in the internal process of working jointly amongst our teams, the various programs at ADWR, to determine the details of the assessment process, and more information, as I stated, will be forthcoming as we develop the standards and procedures for our assessment. And here is a final quote from the director. I'll leave you with this, but obviously with the ongoing drought and everything the state is facing, it's going to take various projects, programs, and solutions to address those challenges, and it's going to require sound, reliable data to help entities like WIFA make sound and informed decisions on moving these solutions forward. And this supply and demand assessment will be an important component of that process. So thank you again for allowing me to provide a very quick update. With that, I'll take any questions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, John. Have you all decided which of the six basins are going to be on the docket first for 2023?
We have not. We are still in discussions about that. Hopefully we'll have
How will that be decided?
that will be decided along with the director and our team on probably the needs of the assessment in the basins.
Okay. It won't be the AMAs, it'll probably be 6 basins outside the AMAs, I would think.
So the statutory language does require us to do all of the basins statewide, at least once every 5 years. So I don't know that the AMAs are super high on our list because we do have data for each of the AMAs.
You have all this data, right, why would you spend the time there?
But obviously they will be a part of this assessment throughout the next 5 years.
Yeah, I would imagine you would do other basins that have been on the crosshairs of folks for years, so, okay. But you probably have some data as well. So when Leslie comes on board, hopefully she'll come on board, her background is in planning, a lot of all of this, so she'll be glad to help you out.
That'd be great. We'll welcome the feedback for sure.
Yeah, so, okay. Okay.
That was good, man. I have a gazillion questions, but I need to do a little more research first. But the things that we're talking about in the funding, does that come out of this new legislation and the money that's put there? Is that some of that going in to do this work you're talking about right now?
We received
$3.5 million.
$3.5 million.
But that's separate from the 1.2 that the legislature was directing towards.
Right. Yes.
And is that every year that's going to
annual? Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I forgot how much that was. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a nice chunk of money. And I'm sorry to ask this. This is embarrassing. How many basins? 45 or 6?
51 total, actually.
51.
Yeah.
So you have to do more 70 years, 6 to 7 years.
Yeah. Well, we're going to vary it from year to year over the next 5 years, because some are going to be more complex than others. So some years we'll do more basins, some years we'll do fewer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I didn't like that one quote though. Parts of our life will have to give up. How did put that? Wow.
That's why I'll be in Wyoming.
Is that the mic drop?
In the Snake River Basin.
Okay. John, that was great. Anything else?
Nothing else. I'm happy to provide updates as we move along with the process. So
Wonderful.
Let me know.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Look forward to it. Kennedy, am I still on agenda? I mean, what do we call this? Map?
You get the
My
call.
script. I'm sorry, my script. So we really are wrapping up. And we never know when our next meetings are, do we? You guys?
We'll send out a doodle poll. How it is.
We'll do the doodle poll. Okay.
I do have a question for Amanda. So in your update on Safe Field, the department has, I think on its website, sort of had data through 2017. Is the update that you're going to do going to take it beyond 2017?
It's going to take it to 2019.
Right, so 2 extra years? Okay.
And is that on the website as well that we could go ahead and
Is it out to 2019 now?
The data's live.
Okay. When will it go? So you're a couple of years behind, okay. When will it start to catch up, or do we know?
So the data for that kind of depends on our model updates.
Yeah.
As you know, we get annual report data in March for the year prior, and then we work to compile and enter that data and QC that data, and we usually have that kind of process done around November-ish of that year.
Yeah.
So in November of 2022, we have 2021's data done, right? Then we hand that data off to our modeling section, and it takes them about another year to work it into the models and do all the updates that they need to do. So there is a lag when it comes to the modeling data that we need to analyze Safe Field.
So in the modeling work, they're looking at water levels from their data acquisition too, or is it just focused on the data that you provide them?
So they use the reported withdrawal data from the AMAs to help update their models and I'm not a modeler.
I was just wondering if that year-long process might be sped up more down the road as you sort of get more refined and you're doing this more frequently.
Sure, it's plausible. I think part of the reason it takes so long with the modeling data is staff availability. So we kind of do what we can with the existing models that we have.
Okay.
So.
All right. So, can I ask another question?
Yeah, we're going this call to the council, Aaron, you're eating it all up, go ahead.
So the assured water supply redesignation process, and that's gonna kick off next year, I guess, is that right?
I am also not our assured water supply expert at the department. I know that's coming, I don't know the precise timeline.
So I would imagine that would be an agenda item you'd wanna have about the timing of that or the status of that as you go along. That's the next meeting, which will be spring meeting.
I believe so. Kyle, is that what we're looking at date-wise?
Did you say spring? It cut out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Late winter, early spring.
I would imagine that would be a lot of interest to municipal water providers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put that on the next topics document we've got.
Okay. Sorry, I won't take any more time.
Enjoy everything. You bring
Thank you.
a breadth of knowledge that is stunning. It's a shame to extinguish it.
I'll still be around. So.
Rory, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Nope.
Go ahead.
Nope. Great job today.
Okay.
Thanks, Rory.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Very much. When is the Christmas party? Do you guys have a Christmas party up here? Now that you're back in.
We're out of practice, I don't know.
All the fun.
Christmas party.
Holiday party, yes, holidays. Okay, anybody from the public, anywhere, like to say anything at this moment? Thank you. All right, this is when I get to say, if nobody objects, we're adjourned.
Steve Cleveland would hit the.
Out. Thank you,
Yeah,
everybody.
Good day.
Have a
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
We just have